Welcome everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we will discuss on AI agent. We have our world famous speaker, Mr. Rob Enderle and Dr. Tamanna. Welcome everyone. First, I would like to give chance, Mr. Rob, what you want to discuss about AI agent and how it will be benefit for industry.
Well, this class of product is called agentic AI. And what an AI agent is, it's an AI that operates on your behalf and does things for you. It operates relatively autonomously. It's used in a variety of ways, anywhere from a company interface. In other words, rather than calling and talking to a person, you would call and talk to an AI agent. To having the AI agent work for you, doing things like maintaining your calendar, curating your email, even responding to email on your behalf when you're not available, taking notes during meetings, and providing a summary of those notes after it's done. Basically, it's a class of product that operates relatively autonomously and does something on your behalf. Eventually, agentic AIs could make it into robotics and other kinds of products, but that's really where agentic AI is right now. It's one of the more interesting aspects of AI development, and it's one of those areas where we're really starting off with the AI being largely autonomous as opposed to being largely directed.
Thank you, Dr. Tamanna. What you want to discuss about AI agent?
You're muted.
Can you unmute, please?
Still can't hear you. We're hearing some background noise, but we can't hear your voice.
Dr. Tamanna, can you hear me? But somehow we cannot hear you. Mr. Rob, I want to go to next questions. Dr. Tamanna, I think you can join again. No problem. Yeah. My first questions for this episode, what are the key difference between rule-based AI agent and learning-based AI agent, and how do these difference impact their applications and performance?
Well, rule-based agents are very similar to what we had with voice response systems in the past. There are a set dialogues that are set up with the agent. They're relatively simple in terms of their operation. The progression through a decision tree has been predefined. And while they're still conversational in nature, in other words, they don't necessarily need a directed command in order to work or perform their task, you still need to be pretty close to it. They aren't conversational in nature for the most part, so they're cheaper, faster to set up, but they don't have the kind of flexibility that learning-based agents have. Learning-based agents get better over time. They train themselves. They typically are using large language models as part of their training. They are conversational in nature. They can much better emulate a human, but they're far more expensive to develop. And because LLM to spin up an LLM is still around $100 million. Though you could probably use SLM, small language models, in many cases instead. But they're more expensive, but they're also more performant. So as you move away from rule-based to more of a conversational construct, they're much more flexible. The people, the users or the clients or the customers, whatever they're conversing with, tend to find the learning-based agents far easier to deal with. And over time, those agents, depending on how they're structured, can learn the people that they interface with and mold themselves to a certain extent As times change, languages change, and perhaps the material they cover it changes, they can adapt to those changes. For rule-based, you have to go back in and manually reprogram them for whatever changes are occurring. So learning-based, much more expensive to put in, probably cheaper to maintain, at least cheaper to maintain if there's a lot of change in the data set they're working off of. And the learning-based agents are much more human-like and much more natural to deal with, but also more expensive.
Thank you. Dr. Tamanna, can you hear me? Can you open your... Can you hear me? Dr. Tamanna, I cannot hear you. Mr. Rob, I want to ask you this question. How do autonomous AI agents make decisions in complex dynamic environment, and what algorithm or architectures enable them to adopt the unexpected changes?
Well, if they're learning-based agents, they're naturally designed to adapt to the changing environment around them. If it's a rules-based agent, then data scientists typically would have to come in, or engineer, whatever, would have to come in and reprogram the agent for the change to allow it to again operate autonomously. So back to the rule-based versus learning-based agents. The learning-based agents are able to adapt to changes themselves and learn from their environment. For the rule-based, typically requires a data scientist to come in and reprogram, or an engineer or programmer to come in and reprogram or alter their programming so they can deal with the differences. The more dynamic the environment the AI agent is in, the better a learning agent's going to be over a rule-based agent in terms of being able to maintain itself and adapt to changing conditions. But both can be performant. Much of our experience has been with rule-based agents. To date, that's really what was in the environment. It was the machine learning side of the AI concept. And as we go to deep learning, which is really where we get to the learning-based agents, then you go to a point where you increasingly don't need a data scientist, an engineer, or programmer to step in and make changes. The agent can do it itself. And so when you've got that kind of a dynamic environment, the learning agent can respond to it and maintain itself to a certain extent. They do need oversight. We certainly have seen in the past where chatbots have been compromised by people that are actively trying to corrupt them, and learning-based agents can be corrupted in much the same way over time. So you do need a certain amount of oversight to make sure that somebody hasn't come in and convinced a learning-based agent that inappropriate words are now appropriate. So there does need to be a set of guardrails placed on the learning agent and some oversight to make sure that they're not learning the wrong things and behaving improperly. If it's a customer-facing agent, you really want to make sure that you're maintaining the quality of the relationship. Otherwise, you could have an agent that's saying really foul things and landing you in the media in a very unfortunate way. So you do need to maintain a certain amount of oversight and probably have people calling in regularly that are employees that are testing the agent to make sure it's doing what it's appropriate. Because by the time somebody complains about an agent misbehaving, that may be too late. In this era of social media, something like that can get out pretty quick, and you can suddenly have a catastrophe. So maintaining the quality of both rule-based and learning-based agents is a requirement, particularly if they're customer-facing.
Thank you, Dr. Tamanna. Can you hear me?
Oh, still no voice.
I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe your microphone's disconnected, or you're not pointing to the right microphone.
Maybe you can fix it.
Yeah, there's actually sound coming in from you, but not your voice. When you turn mute off, I can hear ambient sound, but we can't hear your voice or any solid sound. So you're broadcasting, but for whatever reason, your microphone isn't talking to the service. Okay, let's go to the next question.
Yeah, Mr. Rob, how do autonomous AI agents make decisions in complex dynamic environment, and what algorithms?
This is the one we just answered.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Okay. This is the issue for ethical considerations and potential risks are associated with deploying AI agent in real-world applications such as healthcare, finance, and autonomous vehicles.
Well, so depending on the application, there are ethics involved. If you're in a medical application, you want to make sure that the agent is providing the patient in this particular case with information that they can they can act on and that's accurate. So you don't want, for instance, a healthcare agent that's responding inappropriately, and we have had experiences with it where an agent becomes corrupted. Where an AI becomes corrupted and starts providing bad advice. I believe Google just had a problem with that with their implementation of AI, where it was providing really bad advice with regard. I think it was with regard to cooking. Come to think of it, but it was saying something to the effect that to create a particular dish, you could poison yourself, which didn't make a lot of sense. So you do need to design in a certain amount of quality control. And that quality control is not only focused on making sure they're providing the right answers, but they're providing the ethical, behaving ethically. In other words, particularly with a medical agent, you don't want the agent promoting unnecessary procedures or unnecessary medicines in order to raise revenue. That would be unethical and probably actionable if caught. So here you do need to make sure that the agent is performing within the ethical guidelines that the company has and not doing things that you wouldn't allow a person to do. Now, if we have an agent that's operating on the sales side, now you suddenly get into an area that's pretty fuzzy in terms of what is right and what is wrong. And so you need to have a very clear idea of where the line is drawn and have protections in place to make sure the lines aren't crossed and recognize and fully recognize that with human sales agents, human sales reps, you can often have a situation where the sales rep acts unethically. And if the agent is learning from the sales rep, which is often the case, then you can end up with an agent that's also acting unethically. So you do need to make sure that your training data is not coming from sales reps that are acting unethically. Otherwise, your agent's going to act on AI agent's going to act unethically as well, and do so at scale. So things that might not have been caught if it's being done by a single sales rep are much more likely to be caught if it's being done by an AI agent, which is contacting and working with thousands more people than that sales rep is ever able to contact. So ethics becomes a pretty major foundational element to creating an AI agent, particularly one that's facing out from the company, it's customer facing, and making sure that agent is not behaving inappropriately in a way that could land you in trouble either from a PR standpoint or from a legal standpoint.
Thank you. Dr. Tamanna, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Oh, a delay. The voice came through. A significant delay, significant lag now, but your voice does come through. But I'm saying maybe about a half second to a second lag, but the voice did come through this time.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just have a lag. Your mouth moves and then we hear the sound, but we can hear you.
Okay. Dr. Tamanna, you want to respond? Dr. Tamanna, you want?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to respond these questions like already Mr. Rob responds about the ethical considerations and potential risks are associated with deploying AI agents in real world applications such as healthcare, finance, and autonomous vehicles. So what do you want to say about this?
Okay, Dr. Sharif, AI agents are pivotal technological advancements reshaping business dynamics. And and to I mean, they are basically, business. For example, the business technology is rapidly evolving, and AI agents have emerged as transformative elements. Fundamentally, an AI agent is a computer program capable of performing tasks autonomously. Autonomous is the word, by making decisions based on environment inputs and predefined goals. These agents represent a leap from traditional automation, as they are not just designed to follow a set of instructions but to think, adapt, and act independently. So, in practice, AI agents can range from simple programs performing simple tasks to complex systems managing intricate processes. They thrive in unpredictable environments where they can leverage their adaptability and learning capabilities. So these agents are navigating the web, interact with applications, process vast amount of data, and even engage in transactions, all while evolving their approach based on feedback and outcomes. So the concept of AI agents heralds a significant stride towards AGI, the stage where machines can perform an intellectual task that a human being can. While AGI remains a futuristic goal, today's AI agents are already making substantial impacts by offering more dynamic and intelligent solutions than ever before. They have become partners in a business's journey towards innovation, efficiency, and enhanced consumer experience. So, when you think about AI agents, are more than mere tools. They're dynamic actors reshaping how business interact with their digital and real world environments. So, what are their functions? I mean, if we need to understand that, it's basically we perceive dynamic changes in dynamic environment. AI agents are adept at perceiving changes in their environment. It could range from data fluctuation in a financial market to a customer behavior on an e commerce website. Their ability to continuously monitor and analyze these dynamic conditions is fundamental to their operational effectiveness. Secondly, responding to environmental changes is where AI agents shine. Based on their perception, they can take action to influence the environment. For instance, an AI agent might adjust pricing in real time on an e commerce platform in response to changing market trends or consumer behaviors. Then, thirdly, it's about reasoning and interpretation. AI agents don't just collect data, but they reason it out also. And that's really important. For example, in the political scenario in which we are, the US, for example, is going into elections right now. India did in March. So, AI agents can do a lot of work as far as the data collection part is concerned with regards to democracies which have huge amount of populations, voting from different age groups and genders and religion and caste. So they can interpret complex databases, extracting meaningful insights. This ability to understand and make sense of the environment allows them to be more than passive data collectors. They become active decision makers. Then problem solving skills. AI agents excels in problem solving, whether optimizing a supply chain, diagnosing a technical fault in a manufacturing process, or in identifying the most effective marketing strategy. These agents can navigate through challenges, offering solutions often beyond human capacity in terms of speed and efficiency. Then, then there's about inference and learning. Drawing inferences is a critical function of AI agents. Actions and outcomes, and again, AI agents can determine the most appropriate actions to be achieved desired outcomes. They can plan several steps considering various potential scenarios and their impacts. This foresight is particularly valuable in strategic planning and decision making. So, what I'm basically trying to say about AI agents is, for example, a war is going on. For example, right now between Russia and Ukraine. So, what AI agents can do is do a lot of predictability, and that is going to help people around the world who are neutral watchers, who are not engaged in wars, for example, to be able to look what's going on, and who is winning the war, who is dominating which area. For example, Russia has taken over Donbass, for example. So they can discuss they can analyze these datas very well and see who is predictably winning the war. So accordingly, for people from the neutral background, the countries which are neutrally engaged and they want the best for the world, would be able to analyze the situation and help whosoever is being harmed the most. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, my next question for Mr. Rob: how do reinforcement learning techniques improve the decision-making ability of AI agent, and what are the challenges in applying these techniques to real-world scenarios?
Well, reinforcing learning techniques are really how you train a deep learning AI, and it's because it's learning from the environment around it and what's been happening to it. But as I mentioned before, when we had the big Microsoft chatbot problem about a decade ago, what we found is that people actively attempt to corrupt self-learning agents, or in that case with chatbot, but they actually attempt to corrupt the AI. And we've had efforts now ongoing for people have, for whatever reason, tried to corrupt the AIs that are self-training. And so that means you do need to have a certain amount of oversight and assurance that the AI isn't being converted through the learning process to something that is unethical, illegal, basically unusable, because it's misbehaving to such a degree. So you do have to create guardrails and make sure that you have regular reviews and that there's some level of oversight to make sure that these self-learning agents are not learning the wrong things and behaving inappropriately.
Thank you. My next questions for you: what are the primary technical challenges in designing multi-agent system where AI agent must collaborate, compete, and negotiate with each other to achieve goals? Mr. Ram. Yeah.
So using multiple, this is kind of the new thing because the generative AI is fairly focused. You design the AI to do a specific task, but often a project and effort requires multiple tasks to complete. So you use multiple agents all working in concert to complete the task, to do the different aspects that the task requires. So we're talking about a sales agent. Maybe you have one agent that's selling one part of the product, another agent that's trained up on another, and maybe a third agent that's trained in how to do the contracting aspect of the overall effort. These then work in concert while they're talking to the customer to provide them with the right set of product solutions and then the right contracts for them to fill out and sign in order to get the actual work done. And as a result, these things have to work together. If there are disconnects between the multiple agents, then the user is going to get confused. The agents won't be providing their duties, and it does create a much higher level of complexity because the agents are interoperating. They're collaborating to create a solution, and this is much harder to do. The result is far more powerful, but it's much harder to do and does require a lot of extra effort to make sure these multiple agents, because they come together dynamically. And so here, I think you really do need to spin up a simulation and run the solution against a broad simulation, so you can run thousands, hundreds of thousands of interactions against this consortium of agents, if you will, to make sure that they're going to perform correctly and work out all the inefficiencies, the mistakes that the group of agents might otherwise make. So a product like NVIDIA's Omniverse comes into play here, where you can run large-scale simulations and challenge the agents against a variety of different underlying problems. We mentioned autonomous vehicles in the past, and autonomous vehicles will be a multi-agent model. You'll have an agent that drives the car, and then you'll also have agents that maintain the car, systems that provide for the AV entertainment as well. And each one of these will be relatively focused, but in some ways, they'll interact together to make sure that if, for instance, if the user is engrossed in the film while the car is self-driving, but the car is self-driving runs into a problem, the agent that's providing the media then shuts off or transitions the passenger into a driver and lets them take control. That's probably a really simple example, but with multi-agency, it does raise a much higher need for simulation because the problem is far more complex to solve. And you're now talking about the collaboration between agents and how they interact with each other, as opposed to just having the agent act with the user.
Thank you. Dr. Tamanna, what's your closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, as far as AI agents are concerned, they believe in, it's adept at perceiving changes in the environment. It could range from data fluctuation in a financial market to customer behavior on an e-commerce website. So their ability to continuously monitor changes is something which is credible. Then imagine a digital entity that continually assesses its surroundings. I mean, it's amazing technology which can help in understanding what's going on in surroundings, and how to understand current world situation, the international relations, for example, being able to decide international law, learn from interactions from each of the countries, to make the world a better place. And how do you do that? It's through making choices to achieve specific objectives. So it is the essence of an AI. It is the essence of the AI, of an AI agent. It's akin to having a digital assistant that executes tasks, understands the context, adjusts strategies, and even create new methods to attain its goals. So for example, any kind of problem which we are in, be it medical problem, be it space related problem, be it land related problem, be it laws of seas, for example, any of these problems, I guess AI agents can be a major help to the world currently. And they can discuss, they can lead to discussion in these particular fields. And I mean, it's going to lead to responding to environmental changes. So the kind of not just the environment per se, but something which is to do with the how current environment reacts to certain things, and those kind of things. And also, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that, like, it can lead to a better situation in response to environment of all kinds, be it right now what current political environment, what I'm trying to say is political environment, or social environment. So responsive action is something which is to be seen. Then I guess the problem solving criteria of this thing is very amazing. So AI agents excel in problem solving, whether optimizing a supply chain, diagnosing a technical fault in a manufacturing process, or identifying the most effective market strategy. These agents can navigate through challenges, offering solutions often beyond human capacity in terms of speed and efficiency. So many of these things are there which can be solved by um, AI agents. And now we have to venture more towards the space, and we have to develop our AI agents in a way that we are able to go not just within the solar system, but also beyond the galaxies. We are being ambitious, but that's what AI agents are all about. And I guess to be ambitious is not wrong, and AI agents can help us in achieving a world system where we would be able to, within 50 years, let's just assume, probably 20 or 30 years within our time frame, we would be able to see, like world being able to leap to other galaxies, and so AI agents could be a major help. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Rob Enderle, what's your closing remarks for today's session?
Well, agentic AI is kind of the near-term future of how we're going to do a lot of things. As we move from the interfaces we have today, mice, keyboards, monitors, more to a vocal interactive interface with AI, agents will be the things we'll be talking to. Our digital assistants will evolve into more of an agent being able to do far more things than they're able to do today. We're certainly seeing the beginning of major changes with Siri as Apple starts to roll out their AI solution, and these things are going to be around us pretty much all the time. And we've certainly seen Tesla spin up autonomous robots, which will effectively be autonomous as well. The challenge for us, of course, is to make sure the quality of these things, since they're going to have increasing control over our lives, finances, and interactions, that these things don't become corrupted and don't start acting against our best interest. This is really where we need to start focusing a lot more on quality than quantity. I do think we need to slow down the roll on this stuff so that the quality efforts can catch up. Otherwise, we're likely to be surrounded by an awful lot of agents that are borderline insane and doing what we don't want done. And we've certainly seen that with some of the early rollouts of autonomous cars, where they sometimes don't recognize pedestrians, they sometimes don't recognize curbs, and they can sometimes be found driving around in parking lots, honking their horns and keeping everybody awake. These are all problematic, but they'll be resolved over time as quality catches up with the underlying efforts. But particularly when we're talking about agentic AI, as it is with regard to with regard to weaponry, we have to be really sure our quality is in place, our quality control programs are in place, because these things could do an awful lot of damage if they're let free, and they somehow have not been properly programmed, or somebody has gone in and compromised their data set so that they behave in some form, in something we would call in a human and insane fashion. And do recognize that AI agents, by their nature, they do not have empathy unless they're programmed for it. They do not have fear unless they're programmed for it. And so, if used in a hostile fashion, they could do a substantial amount of damage with none of the remorse or concern that a human might have doing the same thing. So we do have to be careful with this technology, and I do think we need to ramp quality controls surrounding it much more aggressively than we currently are. Otherwise, we're likely going to see the kind of breakage that we've never seen before. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Rob, and thank you, Dr. Tamanna, for your continuous support for World Talent Economic Forum. Naturally, from last week, we are starting our session every Friday, Thursday, and Friday. And this is very important. We are doing a very interesting research. We are developing many interesting startups. And hopefully this knowledge is very helpful for emerging economy. And thank you, Mr. Rob, and thank you, Dr. Tamanna. I request all of our audience, please share our content as much as possible with the government agency, with corporations and academia. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.